Okay, there it is with the lights on. Now I started the truck because I want to show you something. Hey guys, welcome to another shop update. I'm just going to throw some clips in here. Things might be kind of out of sequences, the way they happened and stuff like that, but what it is, you probably can imagine there's a lot of confusion and stuff going on in my life right now. So not everything gets put together probably in the correct order or as it should be, but let's go into another shop update, and I'm going to show you some things that happened kind of before the passing of my wife, and some things that happened afterwards. So let's get into it. Hopefully as time goes on, the confusion and chaos will go away. You know, I got the truck in here in the shop just doing an oil change on it, but that's kind of not what I want to show you. What I want to show you is I got this Misc cover for the differential, rear differential cover, probably a month and a half ago, and look at what's happening is the powder coating is peeling off. Now this seems to be a common problem with powder coating, and it's not because of the powder coating per se, it's because of the preparation of it. Just annoying that that happens like that. You know, I can put some black paint on. I'm not going to do it right now. Go put some black paint on it, but that's not the issue. The issue is they never do enough preparation on surfaces before they powder coat them, and you always get this peeling effect. I mean, I had a huge issue with a PJ trailer and powder coating, and it seems like every time I get something that's powder coated, there was never enough prep put into the preparation of the metal before they powder coated it. But anyways, enough of rant. I'll bring you back. Got the truck back in. What I'm going to do is just clean it up. I've got to leave this afternoon. This is fairly early in the morning. It's probably around 8 o'clock in the morning, and I got it in here. I'm just going to wash it. And then this afternoon I've got to hook it up to my trailer. I've got to go down to Pennsylvania and pick up a generator. It's a generator that I've hauled before. I'm just showing you a brief shot of the diesel fuel tanks on the trailer. There's 3 of them. I don't know how many gallons they are. They're supposed to weigh like 1,500 pounds apiece. But anyways, just a brief shot. Okay, I'm not sure if I ever told you guys this, but one day when I was backing this out of the shop, I hooked this bumper onto the side of the overhead door, and it pulled it out. So what I just did is out in the parking lot, I took the tow motor and put a block of wood against this thing and backed the tow motor in to bend it back. Now it did raise it up a little bit right there. I'm not concerned about it, but it's pushed back to kind of the original spot where it should be. If you see the relationship of the grill flaring out there in relationship to this, maybe I pushed it back just a little bit too much, but it's cool with me. But anyways, I brought it in here, and I'm going to connect these lights up. As you may be able to hear from background noise, not with this camera, you're probably not going to be able to hear it, but I still haven't gotten that thing fixed yet. Here's the door where I tore that off of there. It caught on that thing. That thing is pretty solid, even though it's a Butler style building. That thing is pretty solid. But anyways, what I did is I was going to work on the lights, and I've got to get connectors. But anyways, I'll explain the light connectors in a second. What I did is drilled and tapped that rear for the license plate light, or license plate. The license plate light is up here. I drilled and tapped it so that I'd have the bolts ready for the license plate when it goes on. So as you know, I put the fog lights and running lights on this International, and I still haven't wired them in. Mainly because of those switches on the inside, and I don't even want to get into that, the switches again. But there is 2 leads under there for the fog light switch in the cab, and it does work. The only issue with it is it's a code that you aren't supposed to have fog lights or running lights on. They're not supposed to be wired or be on unless your headlights are on. So they're wired, that fog light switch is wired through the headlight switch. So the headlights have to be on in order for the fog light switch to work. Now, there's times when I probably don't want the headlights on and want these lights on, maybe just running lights, and then turn the fog and driving lights on. But I'm not sure if it would get by inspection if I did that. So what I was going to do is wire it into this switch to begin with. I'm just showing you this because it's like 5:30 in the morning and this is how light it is out. I'm about 100 miles outside of New York City. I'm in the Catskills on Route 86 or Route 17, but this is kind of what you get when you get over towards the East Coast. I think a lot of it is the sun reflecting off of the ocean and causing the light up here. But it's kind of cool. It gets light early. So I came in here today and was able to get it wired up, those fog lights, running lights. And again, I wired it into the fog light switch just to get the truck past inspection. Never sure if they would pick up on something like that, but I might as well do it right, and so that I can get it past inspection in case they do check it. Anyways, so it's wired through the fog light switch. It was pre-existing on the dashboard. There was 2 connectors under here for the fog light circuit, and again, as probably most of you know, fog lights, running lights have to be run off of the headlight switch. In other words, the headlights have to be on for them to work. So that's the way it's wired up. I'm not sure that I'm going to leave it that way. I'll look for some switches, maybe add a couple of switches and maybe change them so that I can turn them on just like when the running lights are on and not have the headlights on. Okay, let me pop a quick question in here for you guys. I know that there's some of you guys that are knowledgeable in internationals and might have some knowledge into these electronic control modules that are run off the bodybuilder program. Let me ask you a question. I've got these lights wired into the fog switch, which runs off of I'm not going to say it's a circuit off of the headlights, but the headlights have to be on in order for these fog lights, running lights to work. If I was to put a separate switch in with a separate power supply and leave the lights tied into the fog light, so it looks like they're only controlled by the switch for the fog lights, but ran a separate switch down to those wires that would control power to it, would it do any damage backfeeding into that control module, that electronic control module? Just a brief question to throw out there for you guys. Leave some comments about it. And I'm not sure it's going to be with this truck because the cab height, your vision height, and the headlights are so much lower than like on a standard truck. But on a standard vehicle like my pickup truck, my Ram, or a car, When your field of vision, when it's like snowing or foggy, the headlights being on, your vision gets drawn to that, gets drawn to the snow coming into it, gets drawn to the fog. When you don't have to have the headlights on and you have these running lights on, which are much lower, they kind of broadcast it out there, and your vision isn't drawn into the beam of light hitting the snow that's coming at you or hitting the fog that's coming at you. So at some point in time, I'm probably going to wire them to independent switches so that they can be turned on when the headlights aren't on, which makes it much more convenient in snow and fog. But I'll bring you back. Okay, here are the lights finished. I put it in wire loom, wrapped the wire loom up in there so it wouldn't be exposed. Okay, there it is with the lights on. Now I started the truck because I want to show you something. I've got an air horn on it. Now, I didn't think the air horn was very loud. I shot this video before, but for some reason, the video came out sideways and I couldn't figure out how to rotate it and get a full screen shot, so I just deleted it, and I'm going to show you, do it over again. In here, there's the air horn. Now, there's two things about it. I didn't think it was very loud. The second thing is, the air pressure has to be up to full pressure before that air horn works. If you take it up to like 90 pounds and you push the button for the air horn, it doesn't work. It's got to be up around 120 pounds before that air horn works. What I'm going to do is shut you off, put you on a tripod, and I'll honk it because apparently it's pretty loud. I honked it when my grandson was here, scared the shit out of him. But let me shut you off. I'll put you up on a tripod. Okay, we're back over here to the welding bench, and what happened was I had started this dunnage rack for the truck, for the international truck, and my welder broke. Now, I've got my welder back. I just got it back the day before yesterday. Got it back. My grandson had to use it for some things that he was doing, but I got it back. Now, I have no idea what the hell's going on with that. Sometimes that I could weld, or I would weld, and it would weld good. It would weld good. Let me just put it that way. It'll weld good. Other times, I would try and start an arc, and it wouldn't even start an arc. Now, I took it over there, but before I took it over there to have them take a look at it, I checked my power supply, and I was getting voltage, so this could lead into another question for you guys. I was getting voltage. I had like 220 volts, let's say. It wasn't 220, it was like, I forgot what it was, 218, 224, I forgot what it was actually. But I took it over to the welding supply place, and he says, well, we're going to send it down to our main office and they'll do a load test on it. Now, the guy from their main office called me up, and I told them when I took it over to the local shop that it would weld sometimes and not the other time. So the guy from the main shop called me up, and he says, listen, I've been welding with your welder, and it's welding fine for me. I don't know what your issue is. What was the problem with it? And I told him what I had told the other guy and told him that, and he says, well, I don't know, maybe let me look at the circuit boards in it. So just the way that he said it, I was kind of thinking that, you know, maybe they weren't too familiar with the new inverter style welders and potential problems with them, or Yeah, potential problems with them. Like he almost thought, well, maybe it's something in the circuit board, but I'm not really sure that I know what it is. And again, that's just my opinion from the way he said it. But anyways, I got the welder back. I'm gonna start back on this thing again. My grandson welded with it, and it welded okay. Let's not say it welded great, but it welded okay. So what my question was, so it's 220 single phase. Is there a possibility that something is wrong with maybe like the breaker in the panel box, and one of the legs isn't getting enough amperage or voltage or something? I'm not sure. I can't really test it. No, I can't really test it under load. I mean, I do have a meter, an amp meter, where you can put it around a cable and it shows the amperage drawing in. But I was just wondering if anybody's familiar with electricity, anybody knew that maybe this could be a potential problem with the breaker itself, and I'm not getting full voltage or full amperage on one leg of the breaker. But anyways, here is this thing. Yeah, the horn. I had just in the previous clip had blown that horn. That horn doesn't sound anything like on camera like it does in real life. It's a lot louder than it sounded in the audio of the camera, and it sounds more like a truck horn than it does in the audio of the camera too. But one of the things that I was thinking about is I'm not really into train horns, but I am into like older style truck horns. And I was thinking about maybe putting a set of older style truck horns on the truck, but that horn only has a 1/4 inch feed, and I think if you get multiple trumpets, like let's call them, because I don't know what they're called, let's call them trumpets, multiple trumpets on an air horn, I think you need a bigger air supply than 1/4 inch. I think it's actually fed with a 1/2 inch line, but I'm not really sure. I'll have to investigate that further. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of show this to you and tell you that this will be coming up on the next shop update. I'll work on this, complete that. Got some other things to do. Again, not going to get into what happened, but there's a lot of things that I've got to do, and plus there's a couple of trips that I've got to make, small trips, but trips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut you off here. I'm going to take you outside and just talk about the trailer for a minute. And I'll probably make the trailer and what I did to it about adding the shocks into a separate video. Okay, I'm not going to make this long. It's going to be very short. Because again, I said I'm going to make it into a separate video, but I had told you before that I would bring you an update on it, and with everything that's been going on, I really haven't done it. As you know, I had a bounce problem with this trailer, and some people are insistent upon that it was loaded wrong, but the bounce problem is there regardless of how you load it. Now, granted, the bounce problem is worse sometimes when you front load the trailer than it is at other times when you load it correctly. In other words, sometimes if I have a small amount of weight, 3,000 pounds or less, I might just stick it up on the front of the trailer to keep it out of the wind. And it does create the bounce problem more when it is front loaded. But as you know, I put shocks on this thing, and as you know from the video, and I'll put a link to that video in the description. Maybe I can throw a card up there, I'm not sure, but I'll put a link in the description. about the bounce problem with the trailer. After I put these shocks on, I've got to tell you, the trailer is a lot better going over bumps, and the bounce problem is a lot better. It's not gone, granted, but it is a lot better. But I'll explain it more in the video when I do it.